The first thing I saw when I opened my front door was empty space. My stomach dropped. Number not again. I stepped outside, scanning my porch, my driveway, the bushes along the sidewalk. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it had just been misplaced. But deep down, I already knew the truth. My package was gone. Not delayed. Not delivered to the wrong address. Stolen. And I knew exactly who was behind it. For the fourth time in 2 months, another one of my Amazon orders had mysteriously vanished. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't bad luck. Someone in the neighborhood had turned my porch into their personal shopping mall. And the worst part? They weren't even subtle about it. I clenched my fists, turning my gaze toward the house across the street. There she was. Karen, the human embodiment of a 1-star Yelp review. She was standing in her front yard, pruning her ridiculously overpriced rose bushes, acting like she wasn't the number one suspect in my ongoing package heist mystery. The same Karen who had already reported me 3 times to the HOA for things like leaving my trash cans out an hour too long or parking half an inch outside the lines. The same Karen who watched the neighborhood like some kind of self-appointed sheriff, handing out complaints like it was her full-time job. And now she was straight up stealing my stuff. I squinted at her. She glanced up from her gardening, made direct eye contact and, swear to God, smirked. Oh, hell no. I took a slow breath, my blood boiling. She thought she could just get away with this. Not this time. I turned on my heel and stormed back inside. If she wanted to play dirty, then fine. She had messed with the wrong person. I grabbed my phone and hit speed dial. "Jake," I said the second he picked up. "It happened again." There was silence, followed by laughter. "No way," he wheezed. "Your porch goblin neighbor struck again?" "Yes," I snapped, "and I'm done playing nice." "Dude, did you check the footage?" I sighed, rubbing my forehead. She's too smart for that. Every time I go back to check, it's just out of frame. Either she knows where the camera is, or she has some kind of package-stealing 6th sense. Jake hummed. "So what's the plan? You gonna challenge her to a duel? Set up some tripwires? Maybe leave a fake package filled with, I don't know, 1,000 crickets?" Tempting, but I needed proof. Real, undeniable, caught in 4K proof. There was a brief pause before Jake said, "You know what that means, right?" I grinned. "Oh, I know exactly what that means." The glitter bomb. Later that night, I sat in my garage, staring at my laptop, my brain running at full speed. This wasn't just about getting my stuff back anymore. It was about justice, about principle, about teaching Karen a lesson she would never forget. I needed something legendary, something that would stick with her. Literally, the glitter bomb. It had to be more than just a puff of glitter. No, I needed this to be a full-scale catastrophe. So, I made a list. Motion-triggered camera. Because if I was going to do this, I needed to see every glorious second. Extra fine glitter. The kind that sticks to your skin, your hair, your carpet, forever. Bright pink dye. Not the cheap kind. The kind hairstylists use when they want color to last. A delayed explosion mechanism. Because I wanted her to be fully inside, comfortable, and completely unprepared when it happened. It took me days of testing. A few failed attempts, a minor explosion in my kitchen, and one unfortunate incident where I ended up looking like a human disco ball. But finally, after hours of tweaking, refining, and making sure it was absolutely foolproof, I had created a masterpiece. The moment the package was opened, a spring-loaded explosion would detonate, releasing a storm of glitter and dye into the air. Everything within a 5-foot radius would be completely coated. It was beautiful. It was brilliant. It was unstoppable. Now, all I had to do was set the bait. Saturday morning, I put the plan into motion. I woke up early, grabbed the decoy package, and placed it carefully on my porch. It was the perfect bait. A big, tempting box with a fake shipping label that read, "Luxury Electronics, Signature Required." If Karen had any self-control, this would be the time to use it. But she wouldn't. She couldn't. Because Karen was greedy. She had gotten away with it too many times. She thought she was untouchable. I closed the door, settled in by the window and waited. It didn't take long. At 9:17 a.m. there she was, Karen in all her leopard print yoga pant glory. She did her usual routine. Glanced left, glanced right, acting like this was some kind of high-stakes heist. Then, with the grace of a raccoon in a trash can, she snatched the package, tucked it under her arm, and scurried back inside her house. I clenched my fists, heart pounding with anticipation. The moment of truth was coming. Inside her house, Karen had no idea what was about to happen. She probably strutted into her living room, smug as ever, thinking she had just scored another freebie. I imagined her setting the box down, licking her lips in excitement, ready to tear into her latest stolen prize. She peeled back the tape, and then, boom. A tsunami of glitter and dye exploded out of the package like a nuclear disaster of fabulousness. 1 second, she was probably grinning like the Grinch. The next, she was a human piñata that had just been whacked open. Glitter everywhere. Her face, her hair, her clothes, her furniture, the carpet. And then, the dye. Bright, pink, permanent. She shrieked. I mean, really shrieked. The kind of sound you'd expect from someone being attacked by a swarm of bees. But the more she screamed, the worse it got, because every movement spread the glitter further. She must have stumbled backward, flailing like a malfunctioning windmill, trying to shake it off. Big mistake, because the more you try to get rid of glitter, the deeper it sinks into every fiber of your existence. At some point, I imagine panic set in. She realized this wasn't just a little mess. This was a full-scale, life-altering disaster. And then, because fate has a sense of humor, she ran outside, right in front of her own Ring camera. I watched as her front door burst open, and there she was, covered head to toe in pink dye and a blinding storm of glitter. She looked like she had fought an entire army of fairy godmothers, and lost. The entire neighborhood heard the scream. Steve, the HOA president, was outside watering his lawn. He turned, blinked, and took a step back like he had just witnessed a supernatural event. "Karen," he said, eyebrows raised. She spun toward my house, eyes wild with rage. "It's him!" she screeched, pointing directly at me. "He did this to me!" Steve frowned, clearly confused. "Did what?" Karen flailed her arms, sending another explosion of glitter into the air. "He's been sabotaging me. He's leaving trap packages. This is illegal." Steve's face remained blank for a long moment. Then, slowly, he said, "So, you're admitting you stole the package?" The second those words left his mouth, her whole body stiffened. She blinked, opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I could practically hear her brain trying to reboot. Steve rubbed his temples. "Karen, you realize that's a federal crime, right?" The neighbors had gathered now. People peeked out their windows. A couple walking their dog stopped mid-step. Everyone was watching. Karen had backed herself into a corner. She had two options: admit to stealing the package and confess to being a serial thief. Deny everything, despite standing in front of everyone covered in neon pink evidence. She took option 3, a tantrum. "This is harassment," she shrieked, stomping her foot. "He's been targeting me." I leaned against my porch railing. "Karen, You stole the package. No one told you to do that. Her face twitched. Steve sighed, already done with this nonsense. Karen, he said, rubbing his forehead. You need to stop. You're making this worse for yourself. But Karen never stopped. She turned, still speckled with pink and gold, and stormed back inside her house. Her husband Richard peeked out the door, saw his disaster of a wife, and just sighed. The man looked so tired. Karen, he muttered, rubbing his forehead. What did you do this time? Before she could answer, he shut the door behind them. Jake's voice cracked through my phone. Dude. I could barely breathe. I know. Jake let out a choked laugh. This is better than TV. I grinned. Oh, I know. And the best part? What? I looked down at my phone screen. It's already uploaded. Because while Karen was busy self-destructing in front of the entire neighborhood, the internet was already watching. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone was blowing up. At first I thought something was wrong. It wouldn't stop vibrating. Notifications were coming in non-stop. Texts, missed calls, a ridiculous number of alerts from social media. Then I opened my messages. Jake, BRO, wake up. You broke the internet. Jake, open TikTok, open YouTube, holy shit. I frowned, still groggy, and pulled up my feed. And that's when I saw it. The glitter bomb video had gone viral. I wasn't talking a few thousand views. I was talking millions. People weren't just watching the video. They were sharing it, remixing it, memefying it. Karen's glitter-covered, pink-stained meltdown was now global news. I scrolled through the comments, and they were merciless. Bro turned his neighbor into a walking disco ball. HOA Karen just got HOA karma. This is what happens when you mess with the wrong nerd. Pink is definitely her color. Some absolute genius even took the audio from her scream and turned it into a techno remix. It was everywhere. Karen had become a living meme. And the best part? She had no idea yet. At exactly 9:42 a.m., I heard furious pounding on my front door. There was no mistaking who it was. I took a deep breath, braced myself, and opened the door. Karen stood there, shaking with rage. Her hair was still streaked with faded pink and gold glitter. Her face was a twisted mess of anger, humiliation, and barely contained hysteria. You, she spat, jabbing a finger at my chest. Take it down. I tilted my head, pretending to think about it. Let me see. Nah. Her nostrils flared. Do you have any idea what you've done? I folded my arms. Enlighten me. My phone won't stop ringing, she shrieked. My job saw the video. The HOA board is getting emails from strangers demanding I be removed. People are harassing me. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, you mean like when you stole 4 of my packages and tried to blame me for it? Her face twitched. For a split second, she hesitated. Then, in true Karen fashion, she doubled down. I could sue you for this, she roared. You invaded my privacy. I blinked. You stole a package that wasn't yours, from my porch, on my property, while I was recording on my security system. And now you're mad that the consequences caught up to you. She clenched her fists so hard, I thought she was going to snap a bone. You think this is funny? I shrugged. Honestly? Yeah. Her face turned beet red. She let out a frustrated scream so intense that a nearby squirrel literally fled up a tree. This isn't over, she hissed, stepping closer. I'm going to the police, and when I tell them what you did, you're the one who's going to be in trouble. I shrugged again. Cool. Want me to send them the video too? She froze. Her lips parted like she was about to scream again. But then, without another word, she spun on her heel and stormed off. Jake's voice cracked through my earbuds. Bro, that was brutal. I smirked. Almost feel bad for her. Almost, Jake snorted. We both knew Karen wasn't done. She followed through on her threat. That afternoon, 2 cops knocked on my door. I sighed, opened it, and greeted them. Let me guess, I said. Karen? The younger cop tried really hard not to laugh. Yeah, he admitted. She filed a complaint. Let me guess, I said again. She told you I booby-trapped a package. The older cop nodded. She claims you set up a dangerous device with the intent to harm her. I sighed, rubbing my temples. All right, let's break this down. I led them inside, pulled up my full, unedited footage, and walked them through everything. The stolen packages, the HOA complaints, the glitter bomb plan, the harmless but humiliating execution. By the time I finished, the younger cop was barely holding in his laughter. So, he said, clearing his throat, let me get this straight. She stole your package, opened it in her own home, got covered in glitter, and now she's trying to report you. I nodded. The older cop exhaled through his nose, already done with this nonsense. Well, he said, there's nothing illegal here. If anything, she just admitted to multiple thefts. I grinned. That's what I was thinking too. They left, probably heading straight to Karen's house to give her a strongly worded reality check. But the drama wasn't over yet. That night, Karen made her next move. Instead of laying low, apologizing, or learning from her mistakes, she did what every delusional Karen does when they lose. She went to Facebook. By the time I woke up the next morning, my neighbors had sent me screenshots. She had written a full-blown manifesto, a dramatic, self-pitying novel about how she was the victim of cyberbullying and digital persecution. She called the video fake. She called me a manipulative liar. She called the entire neighborhood a bunch of ungrateful brats. And the comments? Oh, the comments were brutal. Karen, you literally admitted to stealing the package in front of like 10 people. You realize security cameras exist, right? You don't want to be famous? Maybe don't steal on camera. Then came the petitions. Someone started a Change.org campaign to ban Karen from ever being in an HOA again. Another person suggested putting her face on Beware of Porch Pirates posters. And then, the final blow. Her job suspended her. Apparently her real estate company had been getting bombarded with emails and calls. They put her on indefinite leave. The fallout was devastating. By the end of the day, Karen vanished. No Facebook, no neighborhood rants. For the first time in years, she was silent. Jake called me that evening. You think she's in hiding? I sipped my coffee, watching her dark, empty house. Probably, I said, or plotting her next move. Jake snorted. You think she'd be dumb enough to steal another package? I grinned. I hope she does. A week passed. For the first time in months, the neighborhood was quiet. No passive-aggressive HOA violation notices stuck to my door. No random concerned citizen emails about the length of my grass. No mysteriously missing packages. Karen was gone. Or at least, she was pretending to be. She hadn't been seen outside. Her usual routine, patrolling the street like some kind of suburban security guard, nitpicking about fence heights, and glaring at anyone who dared to exist near her, had completely stopped. She was laying low. And that made me suspicious. Because Karen wasn't the type to just give up. People like her didn't accept defeat. They regrouped, plotted, and came back swinging when you least expected it. Jake had the same thought when he called that afternoon. You think she's actually done? I stared out my window at her closed blinds, the driveway still empty. Not a single sign of life. I don't know, man, I muttered. Something feels off. Jake snorted. Maybe she finally realized she lost. I shook my head. No way. This is too easy. She sent me that weird cryptic note, remember? That wasn't a giving up move. That was a just wait and see move. Jake sighed. Well, whatever she's planning, I doubt it's worse than getting glitter bombed in front of the entire internet. I chuckled. Yeah, I don't think she's ever going to live that down. And I was right. Because even though Karen was laying low, the internet hadn't forgotten. The video had spread like wildfire. It wasn't just TikTok and YouTube anymore. It had made local news. An article popped up with the headline, HOA leader removed after viral glitter bomb incident. Suburban drama caught on camera. I skimmed through it, barely holding in my laughter. They had screenshots from the video. One of Karen, mid-scream, drenched in pink dye with the caption, "Instant regret." Another of her flailing outside, speckled in glitter, with a direct quote from Steve, the HOA president. Karen's behavior does not align with the values of this community. Jake was wheezing with laughter through the phone. Bro, she's not just HOA infamous, she's statewide infamous. I ran a hand through my hair, grinning. She's never going to be able to show her face anywhere again. But as satisfying as it was to see karma in action, I still didn't trust the silence. Then, late one night, I got my answer. It was midnight when my doorbell rang. A single sharp chime. I frowned, setting my laptop aside. Nobody came to my house this late. My first thought was Karen, but that didn't make sense. She had been avoiding me for days. Still, I felt that prickle of unease. I walked toward the door, hesitated, and checked outside, and my stomach dropped. She was there, but she wasn't at my door. She was standing at the edge of my yard, not moving, not saying anything, just watching. A chill ran down my spine. I could barely make out her face in the dim streetlights, but I didn't need to. I could feel the rage rolling off her. She didn't move, didn't say a word. She just stood there, staring. My fingers curled into fists. Jake's voice crackled through my earbuds. Dude, what's going on? I swallowed. Karen, I muttered. She's outside. Jake let out a tired sigh. Of course she is. No, I whispered. She's just standing there. Jake went silent. Then, after a second, okay. That's creepy as hell. I didn't respond, because she still wasn't moving. Not a single step forward. Not a single word. Just watching. For almost a minute, she stood there. Then, without warning, she turned and walked away. Just like that. Back into the darkness. The second she was gone, I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. Jake exhaled through the phone. Yeah, okay. I take back what I said. She's definitely planning something. I ran a hand through my hair, my jaw tight. Yeah, I muttered. And I have a feeling it's not going to be another HOA complaint. For the next few days, I stayed on high alert. Karen didn't show up again. But the feeling of being watched never really went away. Then, one morning, I stepped outside to grab my mail, and I froze. Sitting on my porch was a package. Plain brown box, no return address, no label, just like last time. A deep, sinking feeling settled in my gut. Jake's voice echoed in my head. Do not open that. I stared at it. Every instinct in my body was screaming trap. I grabbed a broomstick and nudged the lid. No movement, no ticking. But that didn't mean it was safe. I wasn't about to be the idiot who got hit with a revenge glitter bomb. I grabbed gloves, lifted the box carefully, and carried it straight to the backyard. If she thought I was going to fall for it, she had another thing coming. I placed the package on the ground, stepped back, and flipped the lid open with the broomstick. Inside, there was only a single note. I picked it up, heart pounding. One sentence was scrawled in jagged black ink. "You may have won the battle, but the war isn't over." I exhaled sharply. Jake groaned through the phone. "Are you kidding me?" I shook my head. "Looks like she's not done." "Dude, this woman is unhinged. What's her endgame?" I had no idea. But I knew one thing for sure. Karen had lost everything. Her HOA power, her reputation, her ability to walk through the neighborhood without people whispering behind her back. And yet, she wasn't letting go. I didn't know what she was planning next. I didn't know when she'd try again. But I did know one thing. The next time she came for me, I'd be ready.